Hey guys, Game Hacking Mom here. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the world settings and the things that you can do when you're creating up a new world. So when you come to create a new world, there are different templates that you can use, or you can create your own depending on what you'd like. The first thing that you'll notice is that on the left-hand side is kind of how you set up your world, and on the right-hand side are some more setting options. So the first thing is your world name. You'll type that in, and then your default game mode. That determines whether or not you're going to play survival, which means that you have to forage for your own things and find the things that you're going to use, or creative, which means that all the blocks are given to you. It's best for building. You want to create something really cool or a really cool structure. You just come in and kind of build what you want. Difficulty. Peaceful means that no mobs are spawning, so there aren't things like zombies or other things that are going to come attack you. And then there's easy, normal, hard, depending on how many mobs there are, or how much they attack you. I'd like to play in easy, but peaceful is kind of neat sometimes when you're exploring something new and you don't want to die. Then there's the world preferences. So there's a starting map. That's really helpful if you are kind of new to playing and you just basically it helps with navigation. And then a bonus chest gives you some handy tools that you can kind of get started with, like maybe some wooden tools or some apples or something that helps you kind of survive. These are things that you probably will want when you first start playing, but if you want a little bit of a challenge once you get to know Minecraft, you can turn them off when you create new worlds. Player permission when joining from invite. This allows you to set the default permission levels, so when new players join your world, you can make it so that they can not do anything, that they're just visiting, they're not interacting with anything, or you can make them a member where they can, create blocks and attack mobs and everything else, or you can make them an operator, which is just like you, kind of like a owner of the world, and they have control over the world settings. Then you come to world type. This is an option that can drastically change the way that the game is played. The default type is infinite, and it just generally means that as you get to the end of your map or the end of where you have previously been before, the world continues to generate new parts of the world. So that's helpful for things like survival when you're kind of exploring or wanting to go, that kind of thing. Then there's flat. Flat is also infinite, but it's entirely flat in all different ways that you go. There are no biomes, there's no strongholds, there's nothing that kind of is weird about it. It's really best for creative if you're wanting to create something kind of cool looking and you don't want all the different structures in your way. It's not really something that people use for survival. And the last one is old. This is kind of the original Minecraft style. It's similar to infinite, but it's limited, so it's not it's not something that continues to generate as you move past your map. It basically makes it so that systems that aren't as powerful, maybe you have an older computer or an older phone or something, can generate the world because it's confined to a set area. So the most common is infinite. Seed. Every world has a unique seed that you can share with other players, or you can find seeds that fit the way that you want to play. So if you ever go online, you can Google Minecraft seeds, and it'll give you a list of numbers that you can put in here to create any kind of seed. You'll notice that you can start with the seed picker, which just means that it's giving you an area where you'll start, and a lot of different things will come up in that world. So if I choose ocean monument ahead, that means that my world is going to have lots of little ocean monuments that I can explore. It's not something that you need to do. You can leave it blank and it'll randomly choose a seed for you, but it's an option if you want that. Then we get down to our world options. The simulation distance of 6 chunks. So this will determine how far around the player the world is trying to generate. So as you play, you'll notice that the world is just kind of generating as you move. And so by default, this will be set to what it kind of thinks that you want, but you can make it go up and down. This is not something that I've ever typically played with, just kind of playing normally, but it is something that is available so that you can see further ahead, or how far ahead the Minecraft will create new terrain. Then we get down to world options. There's a lot of different ones, so I don't know that I need to go through all of them because some of them are kind of self-explanatory. The friendly fire, if you turn it on or off, that means that other people who are in your world, you can hit them and it harms them. So typically if I have siblings that are playing together, I turn friendly fire off because I don't want to accidentally start a fight because one kid hits the other kid on accident. Show coordinates. If you turn this on, that means that in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see the coordinates of where you are in the world. So you'll see the X, Y, and Z coordinates. This is helpful if you're kind of wanting to navigate back to the same spot or just kind of keep track of where you are. I recommend at the beginning you show the coordinates just because that'll help give you some good context about everything. And then you'll see these other ones, fire spreads, TNT explodes. Those are kind of self-explanatory. One thing that you may not realize is the immediate respawn. This one down here is helpful to have on or off depending on how difficult you want it to be. So that means that you can immediately, if you die, you can immediately respawn and you're not having to wait. I can't explain these other ones. I mean, they're pretty, so fire spreads means that this fire will spread to flammable blocks. If TNT explodes, it'll determine whether or not TNT can actually explode. If mobs will drop loot, so if that's turned off, that means that when you kill a mob, they won't actually drop loot. Natural regeneration is regarding players, whether or not players will heal over time. And then tile drops, if they when you break something, if the block drops when broken. Respawn radius. So everybody, when you create a world or when you're in a world, there's always a respawn point. There's a default respawn point when you first join, but you can set a new respawn point by tapping on a bed or creating a bed and then tapping on it. You can shrink or extend how big this respawn point is. So if you're playing with a lot of people, maybe you're doing some kind of battle kind of game. If you change the radius of this, then not everybody will have to respawn right on top of each other. Again, not something that you typically need if in your normal course of Minecraft survival, but something that's worth knowing. Experimental gameplay. This is if you want to kind of test out some of the changes that they're thinking about in Minecraft's beta program. Just if you want to be a part of that, it does allow you to play with those future updates if they're available. But keep in mind that this may affect your ability to play with other people. So if you're playing with experimental gameplay and someone else isn't, you likely will not be able to share the same world. All right, cheats. There are lots of different cheats here, and we'll talk more about cheats in another video. But cheats, if you activate cheats, it's worth noting that your achievements are no longer available. So you can't get achievements with cheats on. When you activate cheats, you then have the ability to turn all of these on and off, which we can talk more about later. But it's also worth noting here with cheats that when you activate cheats, you get the ability to use the command line within Minecraft. And this enables you to do a lot of different things. It allows you to teleport, or it allows you to change game rules that you might not otherwise get to change. There's a lot of information about commands and how they're used. There's a ton of different commands. And so that's something that we'll cover more in another video. But if that's something that you're interested in learning about, you can Google Minecraft cheats commands, and it'll tell you more information about how to use those cheats. All right. And then the last thing is the random tick speed. So Minecraft will tell time based on something called ticks. So if you want to speed up Minecraft's time and you can increase the speed of the game, you can you can increase the tick speed of the game. In order to do this, your cheats have to be on. So you have to have cheats and change the tick speed. The last thing that I'll cover is where to create it. So once you've kind of selected all your settings, on the left-hand side, you'll see I can click Create or click Create on Realms. If I click Create, that means that I can play in my world, and anybody who's sharing my Wi-Fi can play in my world. So if I have siblings or friends that come over to my house, we can play when we're sharing the same Wi-Fi. If I click create on Realms, that means that I'm creating it on Minecraft servers. So that means that the first thing you should know is that it has a cost. It's $8 per realm. But that means that I can play with people who are not necessarily in my own home. So if you have family members or cousins or friends that aren't living with you or aren't coming over, especially during summertime or people are traveling, then you can create realms or create a realm, and then they can play with you even when they're not with you. So that's the kind of the last thing to know.